Sati asked me to talk about scale up and about introducing it to you. And I was really struggling with it. And I'd written a presentation, a very nice one, 50 charts, very quantitative. And when I trialed it with my son, who was here with me, he said, "Dad, it's not going to cut it. People are going to fall asleep. So I threw it away. That's why I have something to, and scale up, I think, for me, is about failure. So what I want to talk about is failure. Now, before I do that, because this is a very negative comment I'm making, I have to go back one step. The intent for the day I want to set. The intent for the day, for all of us in this room, is an intent of learning. We are entrepreneurs. That means we're sometimes afraid that others will steal our ideas, or steal our employees, or steal the only car we have. Today, we're here to learn. The intent is to learn. And to learn in a good way, I want you to do two things. I want you to share with the people next to you, and I want you to be encouraging. Normally you want to scare your competition. Bah! No, I want you to be encouraging. So the intent for today is to learn. And I think then, particularly with the great speakers after me, you can learn a hell of a lot. Among yourself, you should be kind. You should be encouraging and sharing. With the speakers, please be ruthless. You should ask the toughest questions you have. And if they jabber, nudge around that they know they should shut up, because long answers are bad. And if you think they haven't answered your question, say so. This is your event. We are here to try to reach you. If you don't have the guts to ask the real questions, you're not going to get anything out of this. And you're an entrepreneur. Your time is worth a lot. Got it? Agree? Louder. Agree? Louder. Agree! Good, finally.
I told you he's scary.
So now I want to go into failure. And the key message I have is that successful leaders have failed much more than others. Only the very successful people are those who have had the courage, the smarts to fail. Saying it differently, and I'll say it in a more broader meaning, life is not about not falling down. Life is about getting up. And how you get up defines who you are. That's my main message. For all of you who have the BlackBerry, you may start now. I'm not going to say anything else for the next 20 minutes. Let's go one step deeper. I want to talk about two things, business and personal. What are the failures in business for a startup? And if I look a little bit the first 3-4 years, where do we, or have we seen our brother or sister screw up, fail? I put down 4 points. I'm only going to share 3. Those of you who bribe me will hear the 4th. Many of us fail because we do not have the guts to dream. Many of us fail because the vision is too unclear, but most importantly, too low. If you want to sell to customers, it's a hell of a lot difficult. Have that high vision. Have that high dream. The first area of failure for an entrepreneur, lack of dreaming, lack of high aspirations. The second one, and it was very well, I think you were already alluding to it and you were already alluding to it. It's about the team. The low quality of the team. Or, even more importantly, not complementary. This is an SAT word. So, having people in the room that think and act differently than you do. If you don't have the guts to have people who are different than you, I'm not talking about men and women, black and white, and different religions. I'm also talking about that. But you need people who really think strategically, or people who are very tenaciously financially, if you're not. You need that mixture. That's the other big failure. The third one, cash, cash, cash. If you cannot take the time to figure out daily what your cash is, putting it differently, I see many people screwed up by their working capital. Everybody sees revenue grow. But if you don't manage your accounts receivable, sorry my language, you said it. And then you get a second one from your bank, because banks love you. My grandfather, he was a businessman, sorry for what I'm not going to say, but he always said, banker, and I was a banker myself, so I think I'm allowed to say it. Bankers are great. They lend you umbrellas, and the minute it rains, they want them back. That's only half of the story, because there are also amplifiers, but there is truth to that. So please look after your cash. The fourth point I'm skipping because we have time and I also want some time for questions. Frankly, when I was thinking about failure and the failures I've seen, I realized that if I would go through these very logical business points, I probably only shared 20% of what are real failure cases for startups. In my personal experience, and it's totally personal, it's not quantified, I don't have a McKinsey chart for this, or a Bain chart, or a BCG chart. I have to learn this now, since It's about leadership. It's about leadership. And there are three aspects of leadership I want to share with you. And regretfully, the first one is the most important one. Lead yourself, lead others, lead business. If you cannot lead yourself, forget it. Please go home. Give the money back to the people invested to you, not to the bank, because banks are used to not getting their money back. Sorry, I'm going to be hitting on you that time. No, you have to leave. You have to leave. Sorry. we played this. Give him a hand. Give him a hand. We love Mandiri and we want a lot of your money. Now serious again. What is leading self? Where does it go wrong? The first one where it goes wrong, and I can tell you where I got it wrong. I mixed up time management. This world is not about time management. My life is not about time management. It is about energy management. A body works in waves. Relationships work in waves. Customers don't decide right away. It's energy management. How to deal with your physical, your intellectual, your emotional, and your spiritual energy. I wrote an American book about it. It was a great book. And you know why it was an American book? 80% of the book was about the physical, what to eat, when to eat, why to eat. Then the other 40% was about the emotion, the intellectual, and the last page was about the spiritual. And the only thing it said, the spiritual energy is the most powerful one. Period. It was a real American book. Got the message on the last page, didn't say much. I have an American passport, so I'm allowed to say that. The second one, very, very important, mixing up self-centered to self-aware. Any of us who's setting up a business, if we're not tenacious, if we don't believe in ourselves, if we don't focus on ourselves, we will not succeed. But to really get up there, to get the customers, to get the employees, to get the team, you have to be self-aware. And the last one is, and it's very important, you are the leader in your company. You too. You're the leader in your company. The way you act, where you look, you were looking over there right now, signaling at least to me that you were thinking about something else, has a big impact on other people. You have to lead and prove that you can rejuvenate yourself. Self-leadership is about knowing how to get your energy back. Daily, weekly, and particular when we fail. Because as I said, failure is the road. And to be a successful leader, to be a successful entrepreneur, my message is fail as much as you can. Because that's when you really learn. And for that, you have to re-energize. So again, the other 2 points are not that relevant. You can start BBing again. That guy over there in the blue shirt is BBing. No, he's not. He's only stretching his back right now. The other one is leading others. Lead self, lead others. And on leading others, I want to leave you with 2 points. First point, that's a strong one, and everybody who knows me gets bored when I say it. Who knows the Johari window? Hands up. Johari window. Could you explain what the Johari window is?
Sort of vaguely, I forgot there is a blind spot somewhere.
Just speak up, the others want to know. It's okay. Vaguely, yes, vaguely. You're allowed to use the microphone.
There is a quadrant, quadrant. There is like, I can't remember all of them, but one blind spot.
He said the magic word. Say it aloud. Say it.
There's a blind spot.
Good. That's the key word, blind spot.
Thank you, Ifan.
Huh?
Ifan, thank you, Ifan.
Thank you for saving me. Because, you know, when you speak and you try to make people awake, you always want somebody out of the audience to say something. But if he says something that doesn't fit your presentation, it's always a little bit tough. So thank you for saying the right word. It's very simple. Here is what I see. Here's what others see. And don't try to read what I'm writing, because you can't read my handwriting. This is C, this is not C. C, not C. The key thing is, there are areas that others see, like what's on my face right now, and I don't see. That is what kills companies the most, in the most stupid way. Because what you don't see and I don't see, that's Freud or Jung or something. I mean, nobody can do something about it. But the things others can see that you don't see, you ask for feedback. That's what makes a difference. And in leading others, being aware you have a blind spot, the good leaders invite feedback, create trust, because they know they have shortcomings. So if there's one thing of today, or at least from what I've been telling you, you take home is, you have a blind spot, and you have to do everything about it to reduce it. And just that mindset will already make you a more effective leader. The other one is allowing for mistakes. As I said, things are about failure. Am I still on time? Okay. You have to allow people around you to fail and to make mistakes. Otherwise, they can't learn. Otherwise, the team can't learn. Now, if they fail the whole time, it's something else. Then you have to, get a wheelchair or something. And then do something else. But it's very important how you role model dealing with failure. Because if you role model that in the right way, people will come to you. A very famous story, Bank of America, 1987, after the big South American crisis, fired their CEO, brought in the best CEO, stock prices went up 20%. He did big work, and he came back and said, the debt exposure of Bank of America is $20 billion US, and we're going to solve it this way. Stock price dropped a little bit, was okay. A week later, he said, sorry, it's 30 billion. Just got some new numbers. 5 weeks later, he had to resign because he had to up the number. And then the new CEO came in. And he said, I'm not going to say any number. What had happened, Bank of America had created a culture of shooting the messenger. Anybody who talked about a bad loan, and for those of you who are bankers, you know that's a big no-no word, were fired. So the bank, in its culture, had taken out the most important information. So if you do not allow your employees or your team to come to you and say, I screwed up, it's the beginning of the end of your company. Now lead business. My third point. I talked about leading self, talked about leading others, now talking about leading business. I want to leave you with 2 points on that. If you lead business, you lead people. If you lead people, in my personal experience, it's about making them think. And there are two ways you can ask questions. There are 100 ways, but I'm making it simple today. There are two ways to ask questions. You can say, this number down there, second footnote, about your inventory change. Why did that come? That's a very specific question, very helpful. You get an answer right away, it makes them detailed. The other question I invite you to ask are reference questions. And I'll give you an example of a reference question. You have this employee who says, I'm going to win Kalimantan with our product. The first question you ask, who are our competitors? Then the second question you ask, what's the most dangerous move you think our competition can make in the next 12 months? He tells you, and then you ask him, what in your plan prepares us for those most dangerous moves? That are reference questions. So that's on the one side of how to lead business. On the other side, in my personal experience, dealing with and calling out ambiguity. It's again an SAT word. What I mean with ambiguity is situations that are not white, not black. You just don't really know the answer. It's not right or wrong. Call them out. Because we are very experienced businessmen. I know that he's been telling me this. Understanding we're now in a situation of pure judgment and wisdom. That are times of moments of truth for businesses. And you very often get it wrong, but you did it wrong together and you learn out of it. So I told you up front that I was going to share that the key thing is failure, because the most successful leaders have failed much more than others. Life is about getting up, not falling down. There are a few things in business. Vision, think high. Finance, not only for the bank, think about cash. And get the right team. But most importantly, 80% also for the upside, for the pleasure, the satisfaction of being an entrepreneur. Rally around the question of leading yourself. Renewal, importantly. Rally around the question of leading others. And allow for ambiguity in business. Thank you very much.